Hi, Kubrick Lover 1972. I'm here with a review of Krzysztof Kieslowski's Decalogue. Um, I had promised Nina a DVD that I would do a review of this, and here it is. Um, anyways, um, was was I don't want to. I want to try and make this video smooth. Not a lot of fumblings or words or whatever. Maybe I will have to kind of stumble my way through this, but I'll try to give what would be the word, um, a very concise, um, hopefully articulate enough review of the Decalogue, so you can gather an idea as to why it's important, if you should watch it. But I definitely think it's worth watching. Um, I guess I'll say the first thing I would think about the Decalogue is I've watched some of Krzysztof Kieslowski's other films. I have some of his other movies. I have Double Life of Veronique. I have the Colors trilogy and Blind Chance. My personal favorite of Krzysztof Kieslowski is White from the Colors trilogy. I really like that film a lot. I'm thinking of possibly doing another. Well, I've done a few reviews on that um, YouTube of other movies, just two, if I can recall, which are Roman Polanski's Repulsion and Fassbinder's Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant. But I haven't done any other reviews, I believe. I have thought maybe I'll do a review of the Colors trilogy at some point, because I think I like the Colors trilogy more. Not that I don't like the Decalogue. I really like the Decalogue. In fact, before I got ready to do this review, I watched the whole Criterion Decalogue that I bought last year. Even though I had seen it twice before, the fastest version I had seen before. And the fastest version had a few different features, I believe. I'm not. I think it was the fastest version that had where Krzysztof Kieslowski was on a talk show, and of course at that time period when that was taking place, Poland was still a communist country. And I think the Politburo was in the audience, and they were like sort of. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of trying to make Kieslowski look bad because he was an artist, and um, but so anyways, I watched the 10 episodes of the Decalogue. I read the booklet. I watched the special features, and I think they did a great job. Criterion, as they usually do. You get 4 discs. I had the Blu-ray, so you get 4 discs. Um, the first 2 discs are the 10 episodes of the Decalogue, which are approximately an hour of each. The third disc you get is a short film about killing and a short film about love, which are extended versions of Decalogues 5 and 6 that were released to the theaters. And the fourth disc is the supplements. So um, let's how should I begin this off? Well, the Decalogue is based on the Ten Commandments, um, but I think Kieslowski was a kind of filmmaker or a kind of person that, even though he was trying to make a point, um, like it says in the booklet, which is pretty good reading. He's not trying to force a point down your throat. Um, he's trying to suggest. He's trying to put a scenario in front of you and show how complex it is, and that it's not easily solved, and that these problems happen. With the Decalogue, you have the 10 Commandments. So you have these problems that come up in real life, and it's how do human beings deal with solving these problems in a society, not just a communist society, but in any society, modern society today, and find resolution through their actions. And probably it's very hard to because of the way we live now. I guess that's the point Kieslowski was trying to make, that the way we live now in the 20th and the 21st century, it's not as clear cut as it was maybe a few thousand years ago. Maybe it wasn't clear cut back then. But anyways, so anyways, he puts up these scenarios. Each film is like a scenario, and he weaves them into each other. Like you'll see a character from Decalogue 2 in Decalogue. Let's see, which Decalogue is it? Decalogue 4, I think, or 3. Well, Decalogue, which Decalogue is it? Well, it's Decalogue 2, and I think he's in Decalogue. The doctor is in Decalogue 2, and he's in another Decalogue. He's in the Decalogue with the daughter and father. I think that's Decalogue 4. Where's the Decalogue? Yeah, I think it's Decalogue 4. Sorry if I'm sort of slowing down a bit, but it's a very complicated set of movies in a sort of way. There's a figure in almost each film, except for 2. He appears in each film. He's sort of an ambiguous character. He's first introduced in the Decalogue at the first film. He's this guy that's near a campfire near a lake. Is it a lake or a river? And we notice him. He looks into the camera. So people, there's various theories of who this person could be, like an angel. Could this person be the devil? I mean, that's maybe, I can't remember who said it. Who said that person could be the devil? Maybe it was the co-screenwriter. And even it's not mentioned in this booklet or in the supplements, but Roger Ebert said it could be Jesus Christ himself appearing. That's who's appearing. But he makes like appearances in 8 of these decalogues, and I guess it's sort of like saying, because like in the supplements, the film professor Annette Insdorf, who's done other Criterion collections of Krzysztof Kieslowski. She does the Colors trilogy. She does Blind Chance, I believe. I think she does Double Life of Veronique. I'm pretty sure on that, like 99% sure. But anyways, she says these movies are about transcendence, about going through. If I'm interpreting this right, if I'm articulating it well enough, they're scenarios that help you get to another. If you can solve them, to transcend and to reach some level that's beyond the physical, metaphysical. It's a metaphysical sort of stage you step into. So that's some commentary on the Decalogue. So anyways, we got the booklet here. It's a nice booklet, very good design. As usual, Criterion does excellent design on their booklets and their covers and in the actual menu and the whole 9 yards. But it has a sort of like torn paint, kind of torn wallpaper kind of look to it on some of pictures and on the menu, like cracks on a wall or something like that. Um, but and Kieslowski, some of the scenarios that they devised for the films came from his co-screenwriter, who was a lawyer, um, and they came up with these scenarios. They didn't want to give answers. They didn't want to say, here's a scenario, and this is a solution, and this is what you should do. They wanted to make things open-minded. They wanted you to think, like, what would be the best solution for this? I guess that's what you could say. Or the characters. How would the characters solve this? And there's no easy solutions for these problems. And Kieslowski realized, and this commentary is coming somewhat from the booklet I read. He realized he wanted to show human beings in general how they dealt with various issues, even if they lived in a communist country or a capitalist country. Because at the time he made this, Poland was a communist country, but a few years later, of course, it would become independent and democratic. But he said that when Poland was a communist country, you didn't have many choices. You had rationing, you had bread lines, and you wanted freedom, but once they got freedom, they didn't have money. They did have money. What did he say? He said like they had money. They didn't know exactly what to do with their lives because they didn't have any direction, I guess, something like that. And when communist Poland was around, they had something to rebel against. And when Poland became democratic, they were sort of lost, if you will. I guess that's what you could say. Let's get into each film. So Decalogue 1, and I'm just skimming these so I can gather a good idea of which one is, because I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. But Decalogue 1 is about a father and a son. The father is a scientist. He's a professor. And another thing like I said, they interweave. So there's a professor in Decalogue 1. There's a professor in Decalogue 8. So there you go with the interweavings. But the son asks, what happens to you when you die? The father says, well, people remember you. The father's basically an atheist, I think. And so the son also, he asked his aunt about God, and she says God is love and God's very simple. And that's another thing. So the films are rely on being having faith, I guess you could say, not proofs. So the transcendence was to find through transcendence to find resolution. So if I'm interpreting that correctly. Anyways, I don't want to spoil these, so I'll try not to spoil these. But in Decalogue 1, something happens to the son, and because of that, the father, he basically has to rethink things, I guess. I guess it's a way to put it. Would he rethink things? Just something happens, and his father starts to think differently, perhaps, you could say. Decalogue 2 is about a woman who's pregnant. She has a lover who impregnated her. Her husband, on the other hand, is dying of cancer. I think cancer. And all these, another thing, all these films take place in this apartment complex, except for maybe um, one or two of them. Anyways, so Decalogue 2, she knows where she knows this doctor. I think they both live in the complex, and the doctor, he doesn't really want to discuss with her um, what's wrong with her husband, and she sort of presses him and hounds him, like follows him, and then finally he says, come and talk to me, and we'll get into more detail about what's wrong with your husband. Um, and he says the doctor basically, and the doctor he's had children and a wife, but they were killed in World War II, and so maybe he's wistful, if you could put it that way. I think that's a word I would use. Um, but he says, like, it's up to you to decide whether you want to have an abortion or what have you. But at the end I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't. Something happens at the end. She has to decide whether or not she keeps the kid, and the doctor's going to give some advice as to whether or not which path it should be, and whether or not she's having this dilemma, because if her husband dies, she'll have the baby. If her husband lives, she wants to have an abortion. So she's sort of in between a rock and a hard place. So that's Decalogue 2. Decalogue 3, it takes place during Christmas. A former lover of a husband, this husband has a former lover, and the lover, she wants to find her boyfriend or something. I can't remember exactly the exact scenario. So they look for this person, and I think the point of that particular episode is that she wants to reintegrate her old lover into her life, and we find out whether or not that's going to take place or not. Also, Decalogue 3, we see the father from Decalogue 1 at the start of the film coming out of the apartment building and having the main character of the Decalogue 3 pass by him. So that's a Decalogue 3. Decalogue 4, let's get to Decalogue 4. Decalogue 4 is about a daughter and father. The daughter supposedly finds out that her father might not be her real father, and her mother died when she was a child, like a baby, like very shortly after she was born. Her mother died, and she doesn't know whether or not her father is her biological father, or a surrogate father. So that's what that relates to. Also, slightly goes into incest, and like whether or not her father, or surrogate father, whatever, had any kind of lust or love for her. So, and incidentally, in Decalogue 4 that I'm mentioning now, and in Decalogue 10, the one character in Decalogue 4 that plays the father is in the movie White. Anyways, hold on, I gotta stop it for a second. Sorry about that. I set my alarm clock on my phone, and I had no idea that I set it for. I don't know why I set it for that time. I must have. Um, I don't know why it went off, but it went off. Anyways, so going back to Decalogue 4, So the two brothers in Decalogue 10 are in the movie Three Colors Trilogy White. And in White, the three brothers play the characters that play the two brothers, not three brothers. The characters that play the two brothers in Decalogue 10, they're in the movie White, and they're relatives as well in that film. I don't know if they're brothers in White. Maybe they're cousins. But anyways, so Decalogue 4 has a friend of the main character in White who plays a father in Decalogue 4. And then the two relatives, the main character in White and his relative, are in Decalogue 10. Just to, show you that how they, how that some of the actors you see in one movie pop up in another, sort of. I don't know how often that is in the case of other films Kieslowski made. I think Double Life of Veronique, when he made that, the woman he had play Veronique, I think her name's Irene Jacob, maybe. I can't remember her exact name, but she's in Red, I believe, with Jean-Louis. I don't know how to say his last name. Trignant. He's also in another one of my favorite movies of all time, which is The Conformist by Bertolucci, and he's in another good spaghetti western called The Great Silence. So, but anyways, I'm digressing. So Decalogue 4, the episode hinges on whether or not it's her quote father is her father, or whether if it's important at all, and that the fact that he raised her is a much more important issue than whether or not he actually is her biological father. So that's Decalogue 4. Then we get to Decalogue 5, which is also made into a feature, and that's how I found funding for these films. It's called A Short Film About Killing, when it was theatrically released. I can get into maybe a little more detail on this one because maybe because I watched it twice, because I watched both versions. This film treads on the topic of the death penalty. There's this man, a young man. I don't know if he's a teenager. I think he's in his 20s, his character. And I can't remember the character's name. What's it? Oh, Yasik? Yes. I guess that's how you say his name. He basically, and I think this film doesn't take place at the apartment complex. And you see the woman that was pregnant from Decalogue 2 in this episode with somebody else, who I won't say because that will just destroy you watching the Decalogue and finding out for yourself. But anyways, she and this other person try to get a taxi, but he's washing the taxi driver's washing the taxi, and they basically don't get the chance to take the taxi. Before this young man named Jacek, he's walking around. I think it's Krakow. It's Warsaw. It's Warsaw, Poland. Kieslowski had different cinematographers, except for one, shoot different episodes of the Decalogue. So with this particular episode, and I think Kieslowski gave a lot of freedom to each cinematographer as to how to shoot the film, their own episodes. But he and it was like a very intensive set of movies, because he was shooting one episode, and then he'd shoot another part of another episode, and then he'd shoot a part of another. So they were done all over the time, all over. Like one was being shot once, and then in the same day another scene would be shot from another one, and in the same day another scene would be shot from another one. So, and it took 11 months to do the shooting. Um, anyways, a short film about killing, or Decalogue 5. Um, Jacek does a bunch of. He's kind of a mischievous person. He what does he do? He takes a rock. He's on a bridge. He takes a rock and he pushes it off the bridge that he's on, and it hits something. You don't see what it hits, but you hear the sound on the highway below of it hitting a car, like going through the glass or whatever. Then let's see what else. Okay, then he goes to a cafe, and he gets a cream puff and a coffee or a tea, coffee maybe, and he sees these young girls, and he throws some of the cream puff against the window of the store, and then he goes to the bathroom in this set of urinals in this bathroom, and he pushes this guy into the urinals, the stand-up urinals. So he's basically just doing aimless kind of acts of mischievous deeds. And then the next thing he does is these people are asking for they want to go to a certain place in Poland, and he says he wants to go in another place. But he gets in the taxi instead of them, and then he tells the taxi driver to drive to where they want to go rather than what he said where he wanted to go. And this is where the story gets really sort of hard to watch, I guess you could say, in a way. This so what happens is he kills he takes rope that he has, and he's in the back seat of the taxi, and he wraps the rope around the taxi driver's throat and tries to choke him to death, but it doesn't work very well. I mean, the taxi driver is struggling for breath, but he's still alive. And then he drags the taxi driver out of the taxi, and he takes a stone and he puts like a cloth over his. He takes a cloth and like puts it over the taxi driver's head, and he takes a stone and he smashes. He takes a stone and brings it down hard on the taxi driver's head, and the taxi driver is saying before he gets hit by the rock, he's saying, please don't do this to me. I had to, I think, maybe support his wife who's handicapped, because you find that in the trial scene. But it's sort of a hard murder to watch, and when you watch a film like, say, Kill Bill, when you watch Uma Thurman killing all the crazy 88s, well, in that particular case, the violence is stylized, and it's easier to swallow and enjoy because it's stylized, because it has an air of fun to it, artificial kind of fun to it, if that's the right way I want to put it. With a short film about killing, he's trying to make this blunt. He shot documentaries before he made features, and then he stopped making documentaries at a certain point because he didn't want to expose people's like vulnerabilities, and so Yasa kills this taxi driver, and it's just hard to watch because of the way it's done, I guess, and because it's done so documentary-like, if I could put that word out there. What else could I say about that short film about killing? So then he's put on trial very shortly afterwards, and his lawyer, who's a public defender, he's given the death penalty, which he probably would, this same character, if he lived in America, for example, in that time period, same time period as Poland, or maybe a few decades back, he might have been given the death penalty here. But the whole premise of the Decalogue 6 is that killing is wrong in all cases. That's what he's trying to say, because of the public defender, he's going to be hanged, the murderer. And Kieslowski's trying to ask, whether any killing is just, because the commandment that this is following, obviously, is do not kill. And of course, that's why these episodes become so complex in the Decalogue, because killing, is killing wrong in one particular circumstance and not another. And so Kieslowski doesn't want to say it's wrong here and it's right there. He wants you to think, when it happens in certain circumstances, or, well, not in certain circumstances, when it happens in a certain way, or maybe not certain would be the word, just the way we view things. Is that the right way to put it? I'm trying to get it, who are we to decide who dies and who lives? When maybe a higher agent of a higher presence really has the decision as to when that will happen, because everybody dies, but to kill is to take a life away. So the Decalogue 6 basically is a premise on whether or not killing is right at all, So, all right, so let's get to Decalogue 6, which is also a feature as well, short film about love. This film is about a young man named Tomek. I think the love interest is Magda. I think that's her name. And he's been watching her from his apartment in the apartment complex, and across the complex he can see her window, and he notices her having sex with all sorts of guys, and so another ethical quandary, like bearing false witness, I guess, maybe, looking with lust, and but then eventually he tells her that he's the one that's been spying on her, and then the complications ensue as to whether Magda is going to accept this. And this particular movie, and this particular television episode, and the theatrical movie, the endings are different. The theatrical movie, I guess you could say, is more optimistic, more fanciful might be another word. The television version, open-ended, but maybe a little more pessimistic. Something's going to happen to Tomek, and it's going to bring into question the validity of whether or not he should be spying, and how Magda confronts that problem. So that's Decalogue 6. And then going into like a technical aspect of the Decalogue 6, they shot. It's very interesting how they went about shooting this particular episode, because all the shots, there were different areas of Poland, like the apartment building that what's his character's name? Tomek, yes, Tomek, where he lives is one location. Another location in Poland is outside his apartment. The complex outside, the sidewalks. That's another area of Poland, and the apartment building that Magda is in is not even in a skyscraper. It's like in a, I don't know, like a maybe a condo kind of thing or something. And they had to build a tower. Kieslowski and his maybe the Grips, I guess, built this tower, and they had to like create, I think, in front of the condo or whatever it was. I don't know if condo is the right word, to make it look like it's an apartment, even though it's not really an apartment. It's more closer to the ground. So and I love finding out about these kinds of things, like how they fake you out and make you think that you're looking at all these things are separate, but you think they're all connected and they're all together in one location. And I find that fascinating. Not just fascinating, for films that have like fantasy, like Lord of the Rings or The Matrix or Star Wars or whatever, but films that are more reality based and use, very invisible ways of convincing you to see things a certain way in the context of a real situation. Another way this can be viewed. Oh, and they use telephoto lenses. That's another thing they did. Because when you take a telephoto lens, the millimeters are like, and I don't know if I'm totally proficient in talking about lenses, but 100 millimeter lens, a telephoto lens, will compress space together, so it'll make things look like they're closer. And a wide angle lens will lengthen things out and make them look like they're farther away, even if they're closer. So to just digress for just a second about lenses, in The Graduate, when Dustin Hoffman is running to the church at the end of the movie, he's running down the street, and let's just say it's 10-second shot. Now you could shoot that same shot with 3 different lenses. You could shoot it with a wide angle, you could shoot it with a regular millimeter lens, or you could shoot it with a telephoto lens. If you shoot with a regular lens, it's going to seem like you're seeing it with your own eyes. But when you use a wide angle lens on that same shot for the same amount of time, your mind's going to be tricked into thinking it's taking him longer to run down the street to the church where the woman he loves is getting married. And if you see it with a telephoto lens, you're thinking he's getting there too fast. So, but anyways, Kieslowski used these lenses, these telephoto lenses, and so he was farther away, but he could compress it and make it look like a telescope, make it look like he was a far distance away. I guess that's the way to put it. Fool people into thinking that you're looking at something far away. Is that the correct way to put it? Yeah, that's the correct way to put it. Yeah. So that's Decalogue 6. So enough digressing about that. Decalogue 7. Decalogue 7. Let's see. What was this about? Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. So this is about a mother who had a child when she was a teenager. She was about 16. And her mother, the mother's mother, found her to be not quite ready to be a mother, maybe immature or not an adult. So the young woman, the daughter, well, she's not a woman, she's a girl. She's being raised by her grandmother, but she thinks her grandmother is her mom. And her real mother, she thinks, is her sister. And in this particular Decalogue, she's the real mother is trying to, she's taking, she kidnaps her real daughter and she tries to take her out of Poland with her. And her grandmother is very concerned, obviously, and but she's when they talk on the phone, um, she tries to make concessions so she can get back her granddaughter, and that's basically what the Decalogue 7 is about. So maybe bearing false witness would be one of the things, one of the elements of the Decalogue 7. And the Decalogues, they sort of combine with one another. So like Decalogue 2 and Decalogue 3 and Decalogue 9 have like not cheating on your wife sort of done here and there in different ways, So that's, I don't know if I can elaborate enough on Decalogue 7, but you also see the father of the young child, who's I don't know if he's a professor or if he's a high school teacher. Maybe he's a high school teacher. And the daughter takes her daughter, the granddaughter, to her biological father's house, because she's trying to find a hiding place that her mother can't find her, the grandmother can't find her granddaughter at. So that's Decalogue 7. So something happens at the end as to how the situation is going to be solved. So I won't go into further detail about that, because if I did, I'd be spoiling it. Decalogue 8. Decalogue 8 involves the Holocaust. As a university professor, at the start of Decalogue 8, she meets a man. Well, she sees a man she sees here and there when she's walking around the apartment complex, and he has a stamp collection, and he will be the subject of Decalogue 10. In Decalogue 8, she meets a woman that has translated books that she has written, and this woman that has translated her works, who's an American, she asks if she can attend one of her classes, which she does. And again, in this particular episode, you see that character, that ambiguous character who appears in 8 of the episodes, and he's there in the classroom in one of the, sitting at one of the students' desks. There's no real clarification as to who this person is. Is he an angel? Is he the devil? Is he Jesus Christ? Who knows? But I don't think Kieslowski wanted to force people to believe a certain thing, or say you got to believe this. And I think he wanted to just show that lives were complicated. Another thing he said, he was saying in this booklet here, when he's being interviewed, or I think it's the interview part. He says people are lonely. They buy lots of stuff, but they're not really. It just takes away from finding out who they are. They travel somewhere, but they don't really get in touch with themselves. So yeah. So and another thing about Decalogue is he originally wasn't going to direct the movies. He was going to develop the films and have different directors direct each episode. He went to Lodz Film School, which is the same film school, I believe, that Roman Polanski went to. I'm almost positive on that. And I think Andrzej Wajda went there too. And Andrzej Wajda made Ashes and Diamonds, which I guess is one of the great Polish films of all time. I do have a Criterion Collection box set of that film and two other films that he's done. I've seen Ashes and Diamonds once in the theater. I was tired. It wasn't because I didn't want to watch the film. I was just tired. I fell asleep during some of it. But I bought this box set, and I haven't watched it yet. But um, he's supposed to be like one of the great Polish directors. I'm digressing. Decalogue 8. So this woman that translated the professor's works, she attends one of her classes, and she comes up with this hypothetical situation when she's when she asked to speak to the class. She says she brings up this hypothetical situation, which in fact was a real situation, which deals with a woman that tries to hide a Jewish girl, and the parents, the adoptive parents, have to baptize her as a Christian. But the problem in that situation is that if she's baptized, she'll be baptized later than when she was an infant, and therefore will cast suspicion as to whether or not she's an actual Christian or a Jew. And this is, I guess, bearing false witness is what this Decalogue's about. It's this university professor is supposed to help out and during World War II, and she sort of doesn't help out because she's afraid maybe of the consequences if the Nazis find out what could happen to her. And it turns out that this woman that is attending her class, who has been translating her works in English for American readers, is in fact the very girl who was being hid from the Nazis, and she moves to America, during World War II, and this is that woman. So, okay, so let's get to Decalogue 9. Decalogue 9. Oh yes, okay. So this is about a man that can't produce children. He's infertile, and again, like Decalogue 2, the wife she doesn't really accept his advances because she knows nothing's going to come out of it. They don't want children, and she has a boyfriend. Well, is a boyfriend the right word? A lover. And she decides to break off her relationship with her lover because she feels her husband is much more important in her life. And she deals with, she has complications coming with that issue. And the husband has to, he comes to, he gets very depressed, and he begins to feel like, what am I living for? Because his wife won't return his affection, and she decides to go away to ski, and for a while, and then come back to re-energize their marriage. And so what happens? So she says to him as the train is departing from the station, she says, "We'll adopt a child, because he can't produce, life for her. He can't produce, he's not fertile, so they'll adopt a child instead." And complications ensue when she gets to the skiing resort, and complications ensue with the husband as to whether or not he can recover from the situation that he finds himself in. So I guess it covers that. And then last of all, Decalogue 10. Decalogue 10 is about two brothers. One is a rock star. He's the main character in white. Um, and his brother is the cousin or brother in white as well. And their father dies. The Decalogue 10, their characters, their brothers, and their father dies, and he has a stamp collection. And in Decalogue 8, he was showing the stamp collection to the professor at the start of of that episode, and so I guess now what does this Decalogue mean? This commandment about stealing or no coveting, like gathering something, but it just brings you unhappiness rather than joy. So they're trying to protect the collection. They try to like cutthroat each other and try to sell things. You know, the stamps. You know, in this society, at this time period in Poland, you know, it wasn't a capitalist society, so he like safeguarded the place. He had alarms and everything. And one of the brothers gets a dog, this like Great Dane, and to protect the apartment, but it turns out he's not much of an aggressive dog. He's not really a guard dog, and their stuff gets stolen, and they had to deal with it. So, and this one, Kieslowski wanted to make a humorous one, not as serious as the others. So, I guess that covers it. And I highly recommend this. It's a very good set of movies. These are not really television episodes, as Kieslowski would say, as he says. I think he says in the supplements and also in the booklet, of course. These are short films, basically, is what they are. So I also highly recommend the Three Colors trilogy. Especially my favorite is white. I like blue a lot as well. Blue's probably my second favorite. And red's good too, but red's probably my third favorite. And the way you watch those colors, the three bright colors represent the French flag: fraternity, equality, and justice. Maybe I can look at that more if I decide. Maybe I'll do a review of the three colors, and I can get more into detail about that. But the three colors represent the three colors on the French flag and what they represent. And yeah, so anyways, I guess I've gone on enough about that. I just wanted to try to be as detailed and articulate as I possibly could on this video on the Decalogue. I'm really an atheist. I don't really ascribe to a belief in God. But I think, you know, I think it's a human thing, like not wanting to kill, being helpful to people, forgiving your enemies. You know, that's it's more a human thing to me. It's I think it goes back further than the Bible or Christian morals. It was going back to Confucius, you know, or Lao Tzu, these principles. But you know, so you know, these what can you say? These commandments, when viewed in a certain context, it's even if you're not religious, even if you're not a Christian or a Jewish person, I think this is this is a really good film, and it's really more. It's more of a question, of a questioning nature, a questioning. It's more a set of things to think about rather than to draw conclusions about. Maybe you can draw your own conclusions as you're watching it, or you have your own conclusions already made up. But I think he just wants you to think and maybe, you know. He wants to present you with some hypothetical theory, hypothetical situations, and he wants you to see like how people deal with those situations. And he wanted to make it universal, so he didn't show things like bread lines, ration cards, all that kind of stuff. I don't know that really that history of Poland at the time period, but he wanted to make a more universal set of films that could cast that could be applied in any type of society, whether it was a communist society or a capitalist society. So I guess I've covered everything. I guess I've said all I've had to say about the Decalogue. There's as far as special features, we've got a 87 television piece on the production of Decalogue 2. Excerpts from the 1995 documentary, a short film about Decalogue, and a 1990 audio recording from the National Film Theatre in London. New program on the formal and thematic patterns of Decalogue by film studies professor Annette Insdorf, who I mentioned. New and archival interviews with Decalogue cast and crew, including co-writer Krzysztof Kieslowski, 13 actors, 13 cinematographers, editor Awa Small, and Kieslowski confidant Hannah Kroll, who is a journalist or a novelist or some maybe, I don't know if she writes novels. I guess she writes nonfiction. The trailers, the book featuring essay and capsules on the films by cinema scholar Paul Coates, along with excerpts from Kieslowski on Kieslowski. There's a part in this special features where some film students are talking to Kieslowski. And then I guess to end this video, I'll just throw in the fact that he was like a chain smoker, Kieslowski. It's probably what killed him. I think he died of cancer. I think it was lung cancer. And, if you see footage of him, he's usually smoking, so I think that's what killed him. I think he died when he was in his 60s, perhaps. And I think it was kind of sudden. But definitely check out the Decalogue. And also check out Three Colors Trilogy. I highly recommend that. Especially white. I really love white. But blue and red are good too. So I've talked on enough about this, and I hope you appreciate this, and leave your comments down below, and thanks for watching.